Yo, guys. Wrong banner. Jeez. Gotta get it right, Jira. Guys. There's RDS here, back again after what was probably more than a 2-week hiatus, I think. So hopefully Mike's working, a little bit rusty with everything. But before we get into it, guys, remember if you are new to the channel, to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter at Red Devil Studio X. Also plugging my secondary channel, Red Devil Multiverse. Yes, I rebranded Red Marvel. It's the Red Devil Multiverse. I've got a few reviews for Superman and Fantastic Four on there. So please get involved. And like I said, so hope we've got a lot to talk about. And like I said, I don't tend to go live these things these days, partly because I'm busy, but being a madman, but also because a lot of the rumor news is just updates, speculation, etc. But I have been wanting to go live for quite a bit regarding the Benjamin Šeško stuff and everything around it. And I think today was that day because not only did we get some updates significant on Benjamin Šeško, i.e., it's effectively deal. I would argue it's deal done, a deal close, because especially just I think because just news broke out that Newcastle look like they're going for Nicholas Jackson. I mean, that's a massive downgrade. I mean, if I was Newcastle, I'll be honest, if I was Newcastle, I'd be like, right, we can't let Isak go. If I was Newcastle, I would literally be like, Isak can't go to Liverpool. Isak can't go. But the fact that Darwin Núñez has basically been sold to Al Hilal, which obviously gives Liverpool money. Liverpool are going to come back in again with bid for Newcastle, and if it's 120, 30, million for Isak, they will probably bite. But if I was Newcastle and if I was to be a big club, I'd say no, we need Isak, and Nicholas Jackson's a massive downgrade for Newcastle. But that's just my personal opinion. But we're not here to talk about Newcastle. We're here to talk about Manchester United. I put a poll in the chat as well. Do you think Sesko is a good signing? I said I have my thoughts on that matter, but before I get into my thoughts, let me just read the comments. We get into so big up Lucky Singh, big on an agreed deal to improve bid for 17. And I'm going to talk about the amount because I'm going to talk about because David Ornstein obviously broke this. The amount hasn't been disclosed as of yet, but clearly Newcastle bid more for Sesko than Manchester United, way more than Manchester United. But it seems that Sesko wants United and not Newcastle. I think that's interesting. Obviously, Newcastle with CL football, Manchester United not. But I'll talk about Sesko later. Blackchester, Manchester United inside coming back, but AFCON will decimate this team. I think AFCON will decimate this team. It's it'll be interesting because if and what's the second thing I was talk about is Baleba, who is Cameroonian. Obviously, Anana's Cameroonian, Matsuara is Moroccan, and Weber is Cameroonian. Yeah, it's gonna be AFCON taxes is definitely there. I think that's the four African. I don't know if there's anyone. Oh, and Ahmad as well, obviously, so who's over. And so yeah, AFCON is going to be a major blow for Manchester United this season. Big up, Rob. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Hope you're doing well. It's been a long time. Mike Price has been taking a. Yeah, it's been what I would say atonement is that ever since HH visited Newcastle, it's not been great. I'll just put it out there. Ever since I didn't know HH could actually carry his jinx with him and actually jinx clubs and stadiums. So make sure that HH doesn't visit Manchester United Old Trafford anytime soon. Newcastle, welcome to exactly. They can have him for downgrade for them. Exactly. Yeah, it's a significant downgrade. I don't care what any. It's a significant downgrade. However, I'll be honest. United aren't in a position to boast or to talk or whatever. We were finished 15th, and I still don't know if this experiment is going to work. So, but anyway, let's talk about Sesko. Let me see my thoughts. So obviously, Ornstein Bomber this morning. And other outlets that I will obviously share and give additional information. But the initial was Manchester United closing in on deal to sign Benjamin Šeško from RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig accepted and this is the key. Leipzig did accept the 82.5 plus 1 million bid for Newcastle. Okay, they accepted it. Newcastle paid 82.5, which is effectively about 75 million pounds for this guy. And I don't think Sesko's worth 75 million pounds, by the way. I'm just going to put that out. I don't think he is. but they accepted it. They accepted it. The 20-year-old striker wants Man United. Said no club to agreement yet, but talks advancing towards conclusion. So it's obvious to anyone, to me, that people could say it's United pool. Yes, it's probably United pool. I think Newcastle, because I think people forget that it's not just about and a lot of Newcastle fans will come and say, but we're in the Champions League, we're this. And I think this is what people tend to, I think certain fans tend to miss when it comes to football game. When it comes to individual players, yes, I think Champions League is definitely a factor. I definitely think it is a major, major factor. But also, you've got to think about brand awareness. You've got to think about how, you got to think about, the longevity. Like even players that have not performed well at Manchester United, the brand, the hype, the status that United sort of brings, it's big. It's a big thing for them. So it's not just about Champions League is a big part of it, yes, but the Manchester United brand is one of the biggest brands in the world. And so especially if you're a young player, you're at the beginning of your career. You want that. It's a way to establish yourself in the mainstream, potentially generate a lot of not only wealth, but also, solidifying yourself as a high-profile player in the world of football. When you're obviously towards the latter ends of your career, 26, 27, etc., then it becomes a different story because it's like, well, do you want to really join a struggling Manchester United side that might not necessarily be competing for goals? I'm just reading. I want to sort of look. Just what am I saying? I want to sort of react to all the different news that came out because I said I was at work, so I didn't have the time. Fabrizio's post on this, and I'll just share his tab as well. I need to basically get Fabrizio, Ben Jacobs, and Ornstein all in one tab. So Fabrizio. His latest post: Manchester United in direct talks again to adjust fee package and add-ons, trying to get done ASAP. Follows Sesko decision to join us as we were last night with personal terms agreed. Sesko trained 7 till D and done his run to fly. So this is the thing. So there's no doubt that I think at this stage, especially with the Jackson news now, that Sesko is basically a United player. That's why I know I put the comma deal done, but effectively it is done. Sesko's coming to Manchester United. Sesko chose United. So Sesko will be Manchester United striker. Let's just quickly have a quick look at the poll. Okay, so people saying he will be a success. But yeah, Sesko will be Manchester United striker. We need a striker. Was Sesko our first choice striker? I don't believe he was. Let's be real. I think that Delap obviously was there. Gyökeres was there. I probably think Oshman probably was there. I think I'd argue that, I think you could maybe make a case, maybe even Watkins was there, but possibly the profile being older and a few wages, I don't know. So I do think that Sesko comes into the potentially 4th or 5th choice striker here. I've no doubt Gyökeres would have come to United if we got Champions League football. And that was a thing. Likewise with Delap, probably. But obviously they chose Arsenal and Chelsea respectively, who, while maybe not necessarily the commercial Reginald United, still have a societal amount that you probably choose them over United at this moment in time. So that, for me is understandable. But the Newcastle situation, even with Champions League football, Sesko obviously chooses Manchester United. 90 people watching, guys. Almost 20 people watching, guys. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, bottom right hand corner, please. So now obviously my opinion on this. I'm actually before I give my opinion on this, I'm just going to quickly just check. There were other comments and others. So it's basically Ben Jacobs, Fabrizio, and Ornstein. Ornstein has come in a bit of a third. Ben Jacobs, just as I know, Ben Jacobs has just said, more Nicholas Jackson, Newcastle. Initial talks already taken place Chelsea are prepared to sanction exit. Newcastle were fully focused on Benjamin Šeško, but are now considering whether to make an approach. Chelsea value Jackson around 80 million. Oh, man. It's Newcastle are going to fork out 80 million? I mean, the thing that frustrates me about something like this is that, like, it's Chelsea scamming again. Like, how did Chelsea do it? Like, Chelsea, Liverpool, all these clubs that have been able to sell, bang out. Like, I know people are going to have a thing with Garnacho, but we are going to struggle to get 40 million pounds for Garnacho. Who's a far more talented player than Nicholas Jackson. And Chelsea actually won Nicholas Jackson. Chelsea won Garnacho, sorry. But they're going to get 80 million for him. And I suspect, and here's and listen to this, this is why this is key, because there's been a lot of money moving around, etc. If Newcastle do bid for Nicholas Jackson for 80 and Chelsea sell Jackson for 80 million, Chelsea will use part of that money to buy Garnacho. Chelsea will use that part of that money to buy Garnacho. They will. There's already talks going on. I've not really talked about it, but there is talks. They will use that money to buy Garnacho. And if they do, United should be selling Garnacho for any less than 60 million, with probably a sell-on clause or buy-on clause, something like that. That's what I think. But watch that space. I think if that happens, don't be surprised if Garnacho being sold at times is and maybe, and this is the thing, maybe Manchester United knew this, because I'm like, where's this money coming from? Where's this money coming from? And maybe strategically Manchester United think, well, we want to know whether when they knew that Sesko decided to choose them over Newcastle, I think they knew that they would be able to get rid of Garnacho somehow. You know, that's just my theory anyway. Let's see what Ben Jacobs says about. I mean, we'll come to the Brighton news, because I personally think that's. I'm actually more excited about this. Okay, so Ben Jacobs gives us a bit more breakdown on the figure, and this is then now where I'm going to get into my opinion on Mr. Sesko right here, because I think a lot of people are going to be shocked by my opinion about Mr. Sesko here. And we'll get into that in a second. So I'm going to quickly just load up what Ben Jacobs said. Hope you all can see that, and hopefully my microphone is still good. Manchester United optimistic on reaching an agreement in principle with Leipzig for Benjamin Šeško. 75 million plus 10 million offer meets Leipzig's ballpark valuation, but structural deal is still being negotiated. 500 add-ons are easily achievable. Sesko's waiting permission to travel after agreeing terms on a 5-year contract. So a bit more information here. 5-year deal, 75 plus 10 million offer. So obviously initially it's 70 million euros, which is essentially, I don't know, probably about 65 million and 10 million. So essentially we're paying I would say just under 70 million for this guy. Is Sesko worth that? In my opinion, I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not. Did United have a choice? I think they did. I'm going to keep this stat, guys. I think that that Sesko is a risk. I'm not saying I get Holland vibes. I'll put my hands up here. I actually thought I was one of the people that didn't really want Sesko because I thought that this, especially with Leipzig's record on strikers in recent years, a lot of Leipzig strikers that have gone and left to other clubs have been flops. You know, the last PR example was Timo Werner, but there have been others. So it doesn't. They're certainly good at showcasing talent, but does that talent deliver? I am worried. And to spend that money, you know, we need, in my opinion, we needed an experienced attacking striker, you know, and which could have been Watkins or others. And the fact that we've gone to a Sesko, a 22-year-old, is that what Manchester United need right now? I mean, let me know in the chat. I might put a poll on it, but let me know in the chat. What do you think? Is Sesko Manchester United? Because we've already got Højlund, and you know, the funny thing is that if you got an older striker, an experienced striker, I could easily see how Højlund could work in this team. Like easily, it could be like, right, okay, we've got Højlund. He'll come on off the bench. You've got experienced striker. Give him 6 or 7 minutes. Højlund comes on, and Højlund develops. Now, with Sesko, I don't know what happens to Højlund because Sesko isn't that much older than Højlund. Sesko is not that much older than Højlund right now. Like he's not. So, he's gone. Big up, Meg. I hope you're doing well. Have you got the green light? I mean, I'd argue effectively we have got the green light. That's what I would say. I would say we have. You know, so I don't know. I really, really don't know. I don't know. It could, yeah. It sounds like Højlund could. It sounds like Højlund could potentially. This is what I'm saying. I don't think. I don't think you can have Højlund and Sesko in the same team. You know, and if that's the case, I'm kind of like, well, are we not back to a certain extent to square one? You know, where Manchester United basically relies on one striker for the whole season. You know, what happens if he gets injured? Then who plays there? Where's the depth? You know, and what happens if Sesko is a flop? Then you basically have 2 flops that you spent approximately 150 million pounds on. You know, Chainsaw Sesko is a poor man's Darwin Núñez. I mean, I'm not gonna say that. And come on, don't diss Darwin. Don't diss Darwin. I get where you're coming from for Sesko G. I think this guy will bag us scores and could become great for us. Would you prefer Watkins for improvement and all that? Like I said, I hope so. I just I think unlike a lot of United fans are celebrating this, but I think we're celebrating it more from we beat Newcastle, then is this actually going to work? And speaking to people, especially the ones that have watched Sesko, like if you look at his stats, they're not that great. You know, okay, they were better than, let's say, Xerxes and Højlund when they were playing for us, but they were much younger. Sesko was obviously a bit older. You know, like their average stats. I know you can't rely completely on stats. I get that. So, but you know, my fear is that we're basically doing the same thing. And I don't know whether it's right because as soon as he flops, you know how the media is, you know how Twitter is. As soon as he flops, bang. You know, the funny thing is, a lot of all these strikers that are going around are going to have a point to prove. Gyökeres will have a point to prove when it comes to Arsenal. He'll have pressure on him. If Liverpool spends 150 plus million on Isak, he'll have a lot to prove when he comes to Liverpool. If Newcastle spend 80 million on Nicholas Jackson, even if it's just Nicholas Jackson, he'll still have a lot to prove when he comes in. So it's every striker, because of the obscene amount of money that each striker seems to be going to his respective clubs, has a point to prove. You know, you like Isak, Nico Jackson, Sesko, and Gyökeres basically have to be the top 4 goal scorers in the Premier League that season. If they don't, then it's like, well, you know, what are you doing? You know, so yeah, I have my reservations. I am a little bit optimistic just because, unlike Højlund last season, behind Sesko you have Kuna and Mbeumo, who I think are good, experienced overrun players. That's the difference. So the optimism with me is like, okay, yes, someone's experienced, but at least he has, at least he has Chainsaw. I've not watched it, but I can't watch that trash. I might put it on my Red Bar Multiverse thing, but with Ice Cube, I can't watch that trash. I can't. Maybe for a bad movie roast and review, which I might start doing on my channel, bad movie roast and reviews and just stuff like that. Live stream bad movie roast and reviews. Like I want to do that at some point. Just live stream bad movie roast. Oh man. But yeah. In answer to your question, Rob, yeah, I want him to do well. I want him to succeed, and I hope he does. And I think at least going next season, hopefully we should. And I think especially if we do get a midfielder, because this Baleba news actually has me more excited, because I've said from time, once the strikers got, the midfielders next. I know we need to get a good new keeper. I know Onana's sort of there, but for me, we cannot go into next season playing Bruno and Casemiro in the midfield. We can't. I think that you still with midfield still limited if you have Bruno and Baleba in it, but it's better. Incidentally, I don't actually know where you play likes of Mount and other players in this sort of system, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Honestly, though, United have made good signs. Top 10 finish, of course. Thank you, Chainsaw. By the way, let me know. I want to start. I start doing some Red Marvel. What's technically Red Devil stuff now. So if you are free and you're not busy, let's bring that podcast back. Sesko becomes less of a risk when Bremen couldn't buy him in. That's essentially what I said. Yeah, less than Burns than when Hoyland first came. He had Rush. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my sorry, I forgot to put this. That's kind of my point. Is that I think that there is a difference. If you now have, you've got Baleba potentially coming in the midfield. We'll talk about that a bit later, and you've got Kuna and Mbeumo. That puts him in a bit. I still think it's a risk, but it's at least a better situation, especially if you've got Ahmad coming in, Dorgu who's looking good in preseason, and suddenly that, Dorgu, Ahmad, potentially Baleba, Kuna, Bremen, and Sesko. Suddenly that looks interesting, and that's on top of a defensive three of you've got Euro, you've got Delit, you've got Heaven, who all look good. Martinez come back into that as well. So really, to be honest, you just change the keeper and maybe make one midfield sign, because, like I said, I still think Bruno in that is limitation, and you've got a pretty good team. You know what I mean? You've got a team that should at least be competing for top 4. I'm not sure about the Premier League, but let's see. Red Devil, big up, buddy. Would have rather got Mateta Watkins. I mean, I made my point regarding that. Oh, big up Chainsaw. Thanks for super chat, man. Thank you so much, buddy. Have you? Yeah, I butchered it. Yeah, trash, man. Trash. What do you think will happen to Rasmus? Also, do you think we will bring in a top keeper? I think Rasmus will go out on loan. I think he'll go out on loan. I don't think unlike Garnacho, Amorim has not explicitly said that Rasmus should go, or that's he's out of the squad, out of the team, etc. He's clearly not. He's on preseason, so I think Rasmus will probably go out on loan. But then, to be honest, his words, he says that he was going to fight for thing at United. So let's see. It could be. Let's see the character of Rasmus here, because he's got competition. He's not going to be playing in week in, week out. So he'll have something to prove. He was frustrated before. So in one sense, the pressure will be off him in terms of having to score goals. He won't put us frustrated, and maybe he'll be able to relax a little bit and not overthink. But the other thing, he will have to obviously perform. So either loan, I don't think he'll be sold, though. I don't think he'll be sold. Another super chat, Chainsaw. Thank you so much, buddy. Always really appreciate it. Big up on the new channel name, Yeah, I've rebranded Red Mom to Red Devil Malta. I want to keep things in the brand. I'm trying to brand myself now. Keep things in the brand. So if I decide to do sub or new channels with completely different stuff, Red Devil Facts or Red Devil or whatever it is, I can keep things in brand, because starting up the YouTube channel is pretty straightforward these days. So thanks for it. If you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe to my second channel, Red Devil Multiverse, and requests are appreciated. Right, okay, so yeah, so I still think I'll still be honest. I still think this figure is too much for Sesko for 20, but the striker market this season has been absolutely ridiculous. Even now, Hilal paying, I think, 50 million for Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez going to Al Hilal 50 million. Potentially Liverpool paying 120, 30 million for Isak. I think Gyökeres went to Arsenal for 65, I think, if I'm correct. Nicholas Jackson, Newcastle paying potentially 80 million because that's what Chelsea view him as, and Sesko for this amount. So when you look at the striker market, you're kind of like thinking like, even though I think that we have overpaid, when I look at the fees for all the strikers that have gone this summer, you could make a case that that's actually within the ballpark of strikers, unless you obviously want to consider Watkins into this sort of situation, which is not. You know, if Darwin Núñez is going for 50 million, then you know what are we saying here? You know, what are we saying? The second part of my question: do you think we will sign? Oh, sorry, yes, a top keeper. If we would sign Donnarumma, great. I think Donnarumma is a massive long shot. I would like Donnarumma, you know, but I think that's a massive long shot. To be honest, I'd rather us try Tom Heaton in goal. Like, I still think Heaton could be good. Bring in Tom Heaton for a bit. You know what I mean? Bring in Tom Heaton to see what he could do. But no, I think signing a top goalkeeper, it doesn't appear that it's a priority. And the fact that we're getting the Baleba news through is telling me that, thankfully, in my opinion, it was striker, then midfielder, then goalkeeper. That for me was always the order: striker, goalkeeper, and then midfielder. Striker, goalkeeper, midfielder, and that seems to be what the order is. So I'm happy about that. I really am happy about that. So that's what I would say. That is what I would say. But I think that you know, if yeah, that's what I say. As I Donnarumma, it would be nice, but it's Donnarumma. I don't think Donnarumma was the point where it's like I think he wants to play Champions League football, unless we were to give him a huge amount of wages. But it would be a nice signing. I still, a lot of people are still saying what's his name, Martinez. I don't know what's happening at Villa actually. Like, they're in the Europa League. Maybe it's because they dropped into Europa League. I don't know. So, but a lot of people are saying obviously Martinez coming, but yeah, I don't think it's a good idea either. Brighton. Oh, let me come back to that. So we'll come back to that as soon as that's some. But so we'll come to that. Big up, James, for the 19-month super chat. Thanks again so much, buddy. Appreciate it. Long-time support and subscribe, so I appreciate it. Even though you're a Liverpool fan, but I appreciate it because I get a lot of support from non-United fans. Striker mark is insane. Pod catch up soon, exactly. And Newcastle have the worst transfer team. Yeah, Newcastle. It's Newcastle. It's looking peak ever since HH went to St. James's Park. He's jinxed their transfers. It's actually crazy. If only. If only. I would actually take him back still. I would take Fred back. Villa could win the Europa League, thanks. I mean, they could. Yeah. I think Villa's, to be honest, Villa's chance of getting to the Champions League is they win the Europa League. They win Europa League. I think I don't think Villa are going to finish top 4 this season. I just think the games, and one of the reasons why I think United might have a chance of breaking top 5 this season is because of that. Is because I think that Forest, Villa, Newcastle, they will have too many games. They don't have the squad depth as of yet. They are going to tire. They're going to struggle. Spurs, I think, have not done enough. I'll be honest. You got Son leaving. Madison is injured again. You know, I don't think, from what I've seen in Spurs, I don't think they've done enough. And they're going to be playing additional games. Their team going to rack with injuries. So, for me, with United playing less games this season, with the signs that we made, United need to make a push for top 5 and try and close the gap. The goal of this season for United, in my opinion, is to close the gap between us and Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, and City. That's the goal, because there's a growing gap. There's a massive growing gap between us. Chelsea obviously are Club World Cup champions, you know, so they've clearly got something there. You know, Arsenal are now a team that are just adding to that team. They've obviously added, Gyökeres in that. And then, City and Liverpool, enough said. So United basically need to close the gap on these guys. And if they can close the gap, great. If they can't, then we have a problem. Over 21, let's get those likes up, guys. Let's get those likes bottom corner. Let's get those likes bottom corner. If, like I said, if you're new, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, big up people are watching on Twitch as well. We are also on Twitch as well. So please support the channel. It goes a long way, especially because I'm not as live as I would as much as I would like before. So let me just fix. So is there anything on chat? Let me look at the poll. So most of you happy with the Sesko signing. Most of you very, very happy with the Sesko signing. So that is fair enough. Obviously, that is good. Thanks so much for the feedback there. Now I think that we've got 34 minutes. Is there anything else we'll discuss about Sesko? I mean, will he be a success at Manchester United? Will he be a success? Will he be a success? Maybe. But I don't think I don't think he'll hit the ground running. To be honest, to me, and I know Chains in the chat, the signing that I'm worried about the most is Isak to Liverpool. That's the signing I'm worried about the most. I generally am worried if Liverpool sign Isak, and I think every United fan should be too, because if they sign Isak, if you got Isak, Salah, and I don't know who would be playing on the other side. I'm trying to remember. R.I.P. Jota, by the way. R.I.P. Jota, man. So that was tragic. I'm trying to think who else to play. But anyway, someone good. I'd be worried. I'd be very, 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 very worried, because that's a team now. On top of that, it's I'd be worried. Especially if Words, sort of goes on top. Guys, I'm worried that Liverpool might actually win a treble next season. With that team, I know it's not as straightforward as that, but with that team, I am worried that Liverpool might win a treble next season. Not just the league, not just overtaking United 20 league titles and get 21. They actually might. Like, the worst possible scenario for me as United for next season is for Liverpool not only to overtake us with 21 titles, but to overtake whilst winning a treble. It would be like this club is finished. I couldn't stand that. We need to. I'm already resigned to the fact that they'll potentially will surpass them in 21, but they can't have the treble. I was happy with City to take it. Not happy, but whatever. They can't take the treble. They can't. Let's just see. Just one last point on the key front. I would start seeing with Tom Heaton. Yeah, exactly. I actually would start with Tom Heaton. I actually think even as Tom Heaton's number 2, I would. I'm not saying he's the best, but he's reliable and can do the basics. I saw Arsenal live to him and waking up on your signs. I mean, it's still preseason. I don't put too much stock in preseason. I used to, but no, I don't really much. I don't really do that much anymore. Like, it just playing good in preseason and then you play in the competitive like Premier League, and it's just a whole, especially against mid-table small teams. I'm waiting for Magpie Studio to come outside when we officially assign Aiden. Oh dear. Oh, Isak. Well, I mean, Magpies might go into hiding, I think. Big up SB, hope you're doing well. Sesko is a 6'5" tall. He's a big guy, hopefully a handful for that. Yeah, I hope so. I do think that he's tall. I think it's the Premier League is a physical league. So I think if he's there's a few things. He's gotta be physical, obviously, because there's a lot of physical. There's 6'5". There's a lot of tall defenders as well in the league. You know, he's got to be physical. He's got to be fight. Because one of the annoying things to me at Højlund was that he was bullied too easily. Easily bullied. We need someone who's physical, who's able to keep on and also keep hold of the ball. And ideally, if he can head, because I mean, whatever you say about Ronaldo, the guy can score and head. You know, I think that you know, we need that. You know, SSB, for a rival fan, you would hope that Liverpool egos clash and ends up like the rest of the Galacticos. Bro, I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. That's well, I'm praying for that. I legit am praying for that to happen for Liverpool. But I'm just looking at it and going, this is some scary stuff. This is scary times. I think Baleba is a smart thing. Yeah, he's well. Let's in fact, like a lot of people bring it up. So let's go because we've talked about Sesko for a while, and I'm going to change the poll, and we'll start with is Baleba a good signing? United, and if this is going back to Atonement's comment. The caveat is for 90 million. So that's the caveat. So is he a good signing for 90 million? Because that's probably what Brighton want. Brighton want that. No doubt in my mind, Brighton want that. No doubt in my mind, Brighton want that. And I'll get to big up chats. Can't wait for the start of the season. Big up Chainsaw Man. Hope you got some time off work as well. So let's quickly move to this the Alabama news. So I'm obviously going to go through them all. Ornstein, another bomber again. Although apparently it was broke actually after Indy Kalia. So let me just quickly IndyCar news. I mean, never heard this guy. He puts troll stuff. Oh, okay, yeah. So let's go from this was about 40 minutes ago. So breaking exclusive. So 10. I also want 90 million plus 10 million add-ons for cars. So it's 100 million. Man United looking at him with around 70 million total. Now the main part. Baleba himself reported plan to step in and ask Brighton to lower that asking price. It's a bold move, but will they actually? If he can convince them, it could change the whole saga. So he wants the move. Okay, so he wants the move. 100 million is interesting. 100 million is a lot. I don't think United are going to pay 100 million for him. United saying 70. I think if we're going to get him, it's going to probably be 80. This is insane. These figures are insane, man. But he would be good. He would be good. He would be a good signing, man. He would be a good signing. But we're going to have to look at, and this is where I think the Garnacho thing is interesting. Because if we can somehow get 60 million pounds from Newcastle for Garnacho, once they buy a Nicholas Jackson, Chelsea buy Garnacho, you'd think there might be money. I still think we need to sell. I mean, it's looking like I obviously Rashford got his move away, but when you look at the likes of Anthony and Sancho, I don't know what's going to happen to those guys. Anthony's desperate to leave, but high wages. He's just looking around. Sancho, I don't even know what's going on with Sancho, man. I've got no idea what's going on with Sancho. I think Sancho is I think Sancho's finished. I think he should have taken the pay cut. I think he should. The difference, if you want to credit Marcus Rashford, the difference is Marcus Rashford wanted the move, wanted the first start, and he took the pay cut. He took a significant pay because he wanted to go to Barcelona, and he took the pay cut. Sancho could have taken the pay cut, been at Chelsea, playing Champions League football, enjoying London, etc., but didn't want to. There's a mentality difference there. I'm sorry. Whatever you say about Rashford, there's a mentality difference there. And for me, especially given that we're going into World Cup season. I'm like, Sancho, do you not want to play? Maybe he doesn't want to play for England. I don't know. But in my mind, I'm thinking, bro, like, for him and Anthony, guys, it's World Cup season. You need to get a club. You've been told by the manager you're not going to be starting. You're not in his plans. You need to basically, sort out and shape out, basically, But yeah, sorry, there we go. I wasn't actually sharing the Indie news. Apologies. So yeah, so just for those that are tuning in, officially, Brighton want 90 million and 10 million add-ons for Carlos Baleba. United is looking for him with valuation around 70 million total. Now the main part, Baleba was reported plan to step in. That's Brighton thought the price. It's a bold move, but will they actually? So I mean, he needs to push the move though. He needs to push it. He needs to push it. He definitely needs to push it. Now, obviously, so far people are saying yes for 90 minutes are good. I'm still, I don't know, for 90 million though. For 90 million, really? But I guess what other options do Manchester United have right now? Manchester United paid a premium for him. Brighton are trying to cash out. Baleba will want out eventually, and he will. I look at Liverpool too and think, oh dear, it's possibly game over, but it's up to us to put that right. That's the challenge. And to City, and of course, it's not going to be easy. Don't get me wrong. Arsenal strengthened, City have strengthened, Chelsea to a certain extent have strengthened. It's not going to be easy for them. So, and in fairness, I don't think even though we were crap last season, did Liverpool actually beat us last season? I think we got a draw at Anfield and Old Trafford. I don't think in our worst season, City and Liverpool didn't actually beat us. And we actually beat City in their crib. It's very strange. I don't think Arsenal beat us either. Or did they beat us at the Etihad? Yeah, they beat us at the Etihad, but I think we drew at Old Trafford and then knocked on the FA Cup. So, but we somehow, Tottenham were our kryptonite. There you go. Brighton are trying to fix Baleba price early. They didn't expect anybody to have interest. Yeah, exactly. I think there will be room to negotiate, but I think it's on the player to basically push it because 190 million plus 10 million is silly. Now 80 million plus 10 million add-ons. Okay, maybe they can do something. Because there's no guarantee that he's gonna be like this season, and there doesn't seem to be, from what we know anyway, other interest. But Brighton also know how to. I mean, you saw what they did with Caicedo, with obviously McAllister. Brighton know how to make a good deal for their players. So there you go. Newcastle has been a disaster window. I'm not sure their board know what to do. Even Saudis look. You're getting to the point where it looks like even the Saudi clubs are having a better window than these guys. I just think the thing is with Newcastle is that like of any transfers that you have to have, as United have had, is that you have to have backups. And also in fairness to Newcastle, I don't think they thought Isak would do this, and also do this so, late in quotes. I don't think that's helped. I would still say that Newcastle were on the right to say Liverpool get lost. Newcastle have not said one. I mean, things are going fast, but Newcastle technically have not said, you can have him. Liverpool put in the bid that was rejected, but it was rejected because they didn't want to sell him. So we'll see what happens. I'll give Manchester United credit, despite being in the dumps, they still managed to pull a bigger crowd for their friendly in New York City than the Club World Cup final. And I'll give Manchester credit, despite being in the dumps, they still managed to pull a bigger crowd for their friendly in New York City than the Club World Cup final in any game there. What can I say? You had PSG and Chelsea I mean, some of that could be tickets. So I will give them a, but maybe the tickets were cheaper for the friendly than the Club World Cup because you know how FIFA want to stinge people. So there probably is that element. But yeah, I mean, this is why, you know, the Premier League, UEFA, FIFA, it's why I don't mean this in a kind of a gloating way, but just in a real way, like financially, revenue wise, the Champions League, Europa League, whatever competition Manchester United in, it does suffer when United are not in the competition. It just does. You know, like the amount of fans and money and eyeballs going to United because we're such a big club globally. Now, how long that will be remains to be seen. With this form, we can't. But you know, form is temporary, class is permanent. Liverpool beat us. Yeah. That was. Oh wait, was that this season? Was that last season? Liverpool beating us at home 10. No, it wasn't that. Not at home. It can't be. Or was it? No, yeah, it was. It was. It was. Yes, it was with Ten Hag. Yes, the 2-2 was at Anfield. I think. Yeah, that makes sense. Rob saying, "Gee, can I ask? Are you looking to do more streams start of the season and a stream with Tom? That'd be amazing if possible, bro. Hopefully. I mean, it depends on how busy. I mean, it's well, we're certainly doing the pre-season. I'll probably get a few United guys on, Rich, etc. on. If I'm honest, I still have not heard from Tom. I'm kind of a little bit worried actually. So maybe he's just completely off football Twitter, and living his life, which is fine because that's life happens. But I've not seen. I don't think I've seen him at all for like ages. You know. So, but I'm hoping to get some new guests on, new people, new interesting people, especially people in the know. Many people. So watch this space. But yeah, probably because my time is split, it'll probably be a combination of watch longs. I probably won't do as many match reactions as in separate videos. I'll just do the reaction if I'm doing a watch long or not. Occasionally, I might do some match reactions, but what I'm probably going to end up doing is probably putting my match. If I react to a game, I'm not going to go live. If I'm doing a watch long, it will be like a live watch long reaction. If I'm not doing a watch long, it will probably be like a short, like the shorts tab. It will be a match reaction to that on there, like a brief 3-minute match reaction, recording from my phone on the shorts tab. So I at least want to have a reaction of some sort to games, whether that's a live or not. Because I'm pressed for time, I think a lot of my live streams will probably be a combination of a cup games, or obviously important United games, you know. But I'll see. But we'll see. We'll see. So and then transfer news and different things like that as well. So, but we'll see. Thoughts on friendly matches so far? I've not really been watching. I've been so busy that I've not really been watching them. I must confess. I've watched highlights, but not them sort of in live. And so far, it's been okay, but nothing that is making me like, wow. I really think that we can press on and do something this season. All I know is that we can't be worse than what happened. If we're worse, we're going to get relegated. And if after spending close to 200 million, Amorim somehow makes us worse next season, he's going to be sacked. So let's see what happens. But we do have quite a tough schedule. We have Arsenal first, Arsenal at Old Trafford. That is going to be difficult. But no doubt that Gyökeres, if Gyökeres scores at Old Trafford, there's going to be problems, especially against his former manager. If Sesko scores though, and Gyökeres is pocketed, because I mean that game, I'm already thinking about the game. I'm just thinking, damn, that is going to be an agenda game, because if Gyökeres scores, and we're just going to be cut. People are going to be cussing the board. They're going to be like the hate. Oh, there's going to be so much. But if he's pocketed and Sesko scores, the agenda for it's going to be crazy. That is already going to be agenda filled game, you know. So yeah, I am looking forward to the beginning of the season because the stuff is boring. But yeah, just watch this space. I'm hoping to do more, at least more streams till till the beginning of the season, and just trying to keep the consistency really. If you're watching, guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Red Dot bottom right hand corner. So let's just quickly just look in on the other journals. Let's see what Fabrizio is saying, and then I think we're approaching. Are we approaching the hour mark? Yeah, approaching the hour mark, and towards the bottom of the stream. So let's just see what Fabrizio was saying, and hopefully we can track that. Okay, so what's Fabrizio saying? A bit about Chelsea. Indeed, he's trying to Besiktas. That's interesting. Forget about that. Oh, Barcola. Still scrolling. Come on, where are we? Yeah. So Fabrizio said, yeah, again, Manchester approached Carlos Baleba's camp this week to be informed of the situation. Brighton plans to keep going at club as price tag would be very high. See it's a difficult deal. Man's a plan to get a new midfielder after. Well, I mean, so this is just adding to this thing. So Man's a plan to try get a new midfielder after Sesko deal this summer. So again, it adds to what I was saying about the fact that, you know, it literally is striker midfielder. Now, I think what is interesting, and I'm interested to see what people's thoughts are on this in the chat, is that, you know, right now, Manchester United's midfielders are Bruno, Casemiro, Mainu, Collier, Agate. So it's those five. Yeah. But there are only two spots. Okay, because we don't play with a free midfield. We play with two midfield, actually, with two fullbacks, and then we play with two number 10s and one striker. So there are actually only two midfield positions, technically speaking. So you have five midfielders for two, and then you're suddenly going to sign number, and you suddenly have six. So for me, that means that at least one midfielder is going to go, or potentially one on loan. Now, out of the players that I said, I think the most obvious is Tom Collier. I actually rate Collier. I think he's okay. I think he's good. I don't think we should sell him, but he should go on loan. So I think you're ready. If you sign another midfielder, you're already going to loan out Collier out. So he's gone, so down to 5. But that's still 5 into 2, which cannot do. And 2 of those guys are going to be on the bench. Now, unfortunately, because of Bruno as the captain, Bruno's going to start. And it looks like Bruno is probably going to be in the midfield. And I think this is what might be the death of Amorim. If he's blinded by loyalty, that Bruno is going to be in the midfield. So Bruno will be there. That means you only got one spot in the midfield. And that one spot is going to be between Casemiro, Agate, Mainu, and the new midfielder. So if we sign a midfielder, it's going to be the new midfielder. So you're left with Casemiro, Agate, and Mainu on the bench. And you can't have all those 3, I think. So you're going to have to sell one of them. I don't want Mainu to be sold. I think he's a talented player. But I'm sure that Casemiro probably would be the guy to go, but he's still at United. I think that, speaking Portuguese, so I think Casemiro, there'll be value for him, experience, etc. So there'll be value. So really, if we're talking about who's going to be sold, it's probably going to be between Agate or Mainu. And if I had to pick, I'd pick Agate because I don't want Mainu to be sold. And if we're getting Beba can play as a DM, although he can dribble and go up and do different things, so there's more to him than that. But he's basically the DM, So I would rather sell Agate, which and I feel bad. I genuinely feel bad for Agate because he went to PSG, wasn't being played at PSG then sold, and it's just like, so it's not ideal for him. But what are the other options? What are the options? I don't know. Make sure if you like, subscribe to the channel, bottom right corner. If you are new, we'll be rounding up in a second. I'm still not convinced playing free at the back. Yeah, exactly. It's I sort of alluded to earlier, but yeah, I agree. You know, I'm not. You know, I'm not 100% sure that it is going to work. Really, I'm not. We'll see what happens. And on paper, especially if we get a new midfielder and potentially new goalkeeper, this should be a solid team. You know, and if we get a new midfielder and a new goalkeeper, there should be a team that should be at least in top 5, top 6. If we're somehow in the bottom half of the table, there's only could be 2 reasons for that. One, the manager tactically is inept, or 2, he's blindly putting his trust in Bruno, which will be a weak part of that midfield, given his lack of legs, etc. Jokere's first touch is non-existent. He'll get better, man. He'll get better. He's like Portuguese league, etc. He'll get better. Like, I'm not gonna hate Jokere because, especially because of what we've seen, he will get better. He likely is he will get better, but let's see what happens. So he said Jokere looks out of shape. He has love handles. I say I was going to have another year of Arteta ball, and by mid-season the fans will be fighting again. I did say that I didn't think that Gyökeres is actually a player that Arsenal needed. I actually think that, weirdly, I think Sesko would have suited Arsenal more and Gyökeres United. That's actually what I thought. I thought Gyökeres suits us more of how I want to play, which makes sense given that that's a system they played at Sporting under Amorim. Where Sesko, I think, would probably suit Arteta's style of play. So it'll be interesting because I don't see Gyökeres as I mean, yeah, can he link up? Probably, yeah, but I see him more as a target striker personally, and I don't think Arsenal play like they have a target striker. But we'll see what happens. But there is going to be a lot of pressure on him, and like I said, it will be very, very, very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Nietzsche Francis like and Baleba Bomber. Hopefully, buddy. Hopefully, buddy. Lucky, my man, we aim top 8, bro. You're right. I need to keep my expectations even lower. Top 8. I'm not, bro. Wait. I'm not criticizing Amorim. I'm not saying I'm around. I'm not around. I'm just saying that I'm still not convinced by what I've seen last season and even in preseason that this this back 3 formation fullback that we don't normally play at United is going to work. But I could be wrong. We will see what happens. Justin Amorim sausage, guys. This is our season. Kunis is, like I said, I was burned. Last season was one of the worst seasons I've ever watched as a United fan. 15th place, losing that final, Liverpool getting 20, all horrible memories. So I can't just forget that and just go into the season with blind optimism. I want to go into the season with realism that yes, we've addressed some issues and hopefully we get a midfielder. But you know, let's top 8 says top 8, no way, but now it's charging for that. Bro, okay. I will say this. If by some miracle Manchester United manage to win this title with this team, I'm gonna be guys, the streams that I'll be doing and the shameless rants I'll be going on some different channels, it'll be insane. The stuff that I will be doing will be insane if Manchester United somehow get this. Right, let's quickly the interesting thing I guess I would say to add to it is that if for some reason we don't, clearly getting a midfielder is a priority for Manchester United. It is one. So if Manchester United don't get Baleba, who basically I'm interested to know who the list is. You know, I'm interested to know what the list is. Like, what is the actual? Because there'll be a list, there'll be options. You know, there'll be plenty of options. So what is the list for midfielders? You know, I'm curious. What are the options? I'm curious to see what the list is. Right, let's. I think so Ornstein, I think, covered it. What did Ben Jacobs say? Let's go to Ben Jacobs about this. Like I said, we will round up in a second. Indeed, similar things, but so shout out to Son going to LFC. I love Marco. Yeah, the Jackson thing is interesting, but I think keep an eye on that, guys, on Jackson to Newcastle, because Chelsea will probably use that money to go after Garnacho. I think that they want Garnacho and Simmons, and I think if they get 80 mil for Jackson, they'll be able to get both, which I think is actually quite scary. When you consider that they could have like a front three of Garnacho, you've got Xavi Simmons in there, and then you've got João Pedro, Delap, etc. Chelsea's attacking line is looking, as well as obviously Palmer. Chelsea's attacking line is looking good. So there was a message from the Brighton CEO where he said, Brian Silverball on Carlos was speaking at the Albion fans forum. There's always going to be interest in our players. Manchester United have not been in touch with me. Speculation is speculation. Carlos is a fantastic talent. We hope he'll be here for years to come, but it is subject to dynamics. But it is subject to dynamics of football, which aren't always predictable. Talks with players via intermediaries. Brian's plans to keep Baleba with a summer for an exit more likely as it stands. So basically, the translation for that to me is like, is that basically what we're saying is that he's available for the right price. Like if the CEO is speaking to the Albion fans forum, which I think is quite nice actually. It's nice that actually they've got CEOs actually speak directly to their fans and do it that way. But this is basically saying he's available for the right price. Like, because if you were a battery. 1 second, guys. Let me quickly. I need to charge my laptop battery. 1 second. Sorry about that. Almost finished though. But yeah, the statement is basically saying like he's for sale. Pay up. Like this whole, we hope he'll be here for look, you can even see in the words. Like, guys, look at the words. There's always going to be interest in our players. Okay, that's part one. We hope he'll be here for years to come. And then, but it's subject to dynamics of football, which I always bro. This is English speak. This is English speak for he is for sale. Pay us what we want. Knowing Brighton, this is English speak for he is for sale. Pay us what we want. Once you pay us what we want, he's yours. Once you pay us what we want, he's definitely yours. There's no doubt about it. Pay us the money, and once you pay us the money, he is yours. End of discussion. And I suspect it will be something along the lines of what they said. They want was it 90 plus 10 million, which is insane. Let's have a quick look at some of the comments. We're working on. Yeah, we are. Well, I mean, will he go? I suspect with Rasmus it'll be alone. Peter Munko says Man Utd was set up to get the real players. I'm not sure about that, Peter. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. Tommy Green Knight about 30 million for Rasmus Højlund would be a joke. I'll be honest. Gee, that's a good question. What's the list of midfielders? I think we can narrow the list for goalkeeper. Yeah, exactly. The goalkeepers list is not a lot, but the midfielders list, I'm curious because if you're prepared to pay 90 something million for Carlos Baleba, who else is who else are we looking at? And if I'm honest, guys, the reason why I'm actually more passionate about this or want this deal to go through more is that whatever you say about Brighton, the players that they've let go and that they've developed have been good. Premier League proven, developed well, they chose well, and they've gone on to certain teams to do well. McAllister's good for Liverpool in the midfield. Caicedo's been good for Chelsea eventually in midfield. Even though, yes, they struggle a little bit, they come good. Brighton have a good record of when the players that they've gone on to sell. I mean, maybe Alexis Sanchez, the goalkeeper, enough said, but even still, he's not terrible. They've gone on to do well. I really think United should do this deal because I think this could be the difference. This could be a key midfield signing for Manchester United, a key midfield signing. We're about to round up, guys. But remember, if you're new to channel, guys, to like shit. We're 20 subscribers away from 4.5k subscribers. Please get involved. Let me know. Nietzscheman says there aren't any lists. So Jim said it's best in class, and he's living up to that now with us talking. But I hope so, buddy. I hope so, buddy. I hope so. Only time will tell. 80 million for Jackson. It's actually insane. 80 million for Nicholas Jackson is insane. It is insane. However, Newcastle don't have much of a choice. Well, they do. They can say no to the Isak deal, but Isak looks like he's pushing for it a lot. And if Isak is basically going to not play, then Newcastle don't really have a lot of a choice, do they? And then they'll have like what 130. 40, whatever it is, million pounds that they can then spend on anything on top of what they can spend. And Newcastle have not really spent that much this summer. So 80 million is ridiculous, but they can afford to pay 80 million. I'm surprised that they don't want to go for Garnacho, but I think maybe Garnacho might have only wanted Chelsea. So there you go. As the statement kind of comes on, we know, and that Brighton didn't expect Baleba interest and are scrambling right now. No, yeah, they didn't expect the interest. I mean, I think they are scrambling, but it's definitely not he's not for sale. He's not. Newcastle, if anything, were more gave he's not for sale vibes, and it's still like Brighton are like, yeah, he's for sale. And I like when Brighton do this because I think the culture of Brighton is that Brighton, and the CEOs kind of said this, that Brighton is a selling club. And players are kind of told that you could be sold to X, Y, and Z. They are selling club. They let them know that. But they do the selling on their terms. So they'll be like, yeah, sure. He's for sale. Yeah, you can buy him. But we're not going to sell him. And we're going to sell him on our terms. And then we'll invest that money in making the next, best player. Because when we look at Brighton, I think Brighton, if we're looking at sellings, I think they probably made the most in recent years in terms of the amount that Chelsea probably up there as well, maybe ahead of them because of how many youth players they've sold to other. But I think in the Premier League, definitely probably Brighton. Outside, probably Chelsea. Spots on the CEO saying he's for sale. Yeah, exactly. It's clear sales speech. Amadou Onana, maybe he's a target as well. Maybe he's a target as well. Where did Brighton get his players? Well, if I'm honest, I'd rather, what would be great if United actually got the Brighton scouts and the scouting network and the scouting team and hired them. That would be far, far cheaper than handing 150 million to Brighton. Just poach their scouts and make them work for United so they can find the players for us, and then we save money. That would probably be a cheaper solution. It's like we're just done tours. Yeah, of course it will. Of course it will. Do I want any Premier League midfielder? get me Amadou Onana. Conor Gallagher is not in the Premier League though anymore. Conor Gallagher is in La Liga now for Atletico. Remember, SMB don't care about Bournemouth. One player there. Well, I mean, a lot of Bournemouth players are going to Madrid, etc. So there you go. Right, final thoughts. Because we've kind of touched the Belvedere today, so I'm going to have a quick look at your poll, and then we're going to round things up. Yeah, I mean, 83% from the vote saying that Baleba's going to be a good signing, and I agree with that 100%. I just think that we need. Oh, Jordan, big up Jordan. You have to walk alone. Yo, bro, hope you're doing well, man. Yeah, I hope that I hope that United get. Like I said, for me, if I'm perfectly honest, the midfield sign for me, because yeah, I'm happy that we've got on Bremer, I'm happy we got Cunha. You know, Sesko is still a maybe for me, but for me, I'm the most excited because I think if we sign Baleba, I think I'm going to season. I think I've still got a lot of concerns, But if we sign Baleba, I think now will be when I'm like, right, okay, I can begin to become a little bit excited for the season. I think I can become a bit more excited for the season coming and looking forward to it. Because as it stands right now, I'm still kind of like, oh man, not on the Champions League, not in Europe, no midweek football. We've got a really tough 10 games. We really got to hit the ground running. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble, blah, blah, blah. That's generally how I feel. But if we've signed this signing, I'm like, okay, there's hope. Just watching the Baleba highlights, he's like combination of Busquets, Zidane, Seedorf. Bro, if we can get him, man, but it will be as Lick said, it will be hard for us for Brighton to talk. It will be a hard transfer. It will be. I do think we need to get outgoings. We definitely do. Final thoughts: just go and get Fred back to save the day. Yeah, please, big Fred back to the club. Please, big Fred back. Please, big Fred. If you can, United. If you can, please, big Fred back. That'd be great. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you are new to the channel, to like, share, subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter at Red Devil Studio X. We're also on Twitch on Red Devil Studio. Also subscribe to my second channel, Red Devil Multiverse, as well. Links in the description. On the homepage, we do a lot of entertainment, comic movies, TV reviews, all of the stuff like that. All that goodness. Have a nice day, guys, and cheers. Peace. Ooh.